What's up everybody? Today I'm going to be bringing you a video about a little known player that many people aren't really talking about that much. I mean, for a player that's this talented to go so unnoticed is really kind of tragic. He's from the small town of Akron, Ohio, and he goes by the name of LeBronathan Matthias Boggins III Senior Esquire Jamestopher, or as he's more colloquially known,
LeBron James.
Now I know I named this video Top LeBron Whatever so that I could clickbait LeBron haters, but I also want LeBron LeBron fans to look at things from a different perspective. Now when I say stop making excuses, I mean we should stop making them to both uplift and downgrade LeBron's career. So without further ado, let's get into why we should stop making excuses for LeBron James. Now I'm only going to be focusing on the finals wins and losses because that's the argument that seems to start and end mostly with rings. And LeBron's 1,000,001 losses in the finals don't really help his case that much. I want to take it back to when LeBron first got into the league. You think the hype for Lonzo Ball is real? Please. If social media had been as big when Mr. James first entered the league, we would have had people tweeting pics about the way he sneezed and analyzing snot droplets just to tell what type of player he'd be in the NBA. And I have to be honest, when I was 2.5 watching all the coverage of LeBron James, I was kinda nervous he wouldn't live up to the hype. But thank Jeebus, he surprised everyone and did exactly what we thought he'd do.
Or who we thought they were.
So, fast forward a little bit to the 2007 NBA Finals. He takes the Cleveland Cavaliers all the way to the promised land. And when you think about it, it's kind of spectacular considering the hype that was surrounding him coming into the league. It's not very often that you expect a player to be this great, and he is this great in such a short amount of time. Think about it. It's his 4th year in the league, and he led a team all the way to the finals. Now, for the most part, I think LeBron haters and fans can agree that this was a pretty amazing feat. Yeah, this is pretty good. So, first part on this list is not really an excuse, but people do try to use it to up LeBron James's career, and I guess I can kind of agree. He took what was basically a second-tier roster all the way to the NBA Finals and faced some pretty tough competition. I guess we're kinda in agreement that, yeah, this was pretty good for LeBron, so +1 for him. Now, let's hit that fast forward button again and go a little bit further to the 2011 NBA Finals. In between that, I don't know, some stuff happened, maybe he changed teams a bit, and then he got to the finals again. Okay, I have to do it. We're gonna get into the decision. Before we do that though, let's talk about the 2011 NBA Finals. Now, in 2011, everybody, the whole world, wanted the Heat to lose. When they did, it was jubilation. People were singing in the streets, having babies, shaking hands, giving dap to folks. It was good times in 2011. Even myself, I was a wee lass. I was about 35 years old when this finals occurred, and any type of L I saw the Heat take was actually pretty good. And that brings us to excuse number 2. LeBron James didn't show up in the 2011 NBA Finals. If you're keeping score, in 2007 he did something that was pretty fantastic, and in 2011 he and this is where a lot of the divide comes between haters and fans. LeBron left his team and formed a super team down in Miami. Oh my goodness, the world just crumbled. And I was right there along with the world. From that point on, LeBron James and anything he did was pretty much dead to me. I mean, if he made it to the finals, don't count. If he won a ring, don't count. If he won 3 rings, 8 rings, 20 rings, don't count. Nothing mattered once he left Cleveland to go to Miami. All that changed when I had a simple conversation with a friend of mine. He said, "That's fine. You can hate LeBron James. You can hate the Heat. But think about it like this. What if through some crazy set of circumstances, if the universe just had all the stars aligned right and somehow the Cleveland Cavaliers pulled off a trade to get Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade to Cleveland? Would you have been upset then?" I was taken back. But he left. But he's cheating the game. But I didn't know who I was anymore. If I didn't hate LeBron James, if I didn't hate the Heat, if I didn't hate, who was I? That's the part that a lot of people miss. Had this scenario had gone down in some other way, had the players come together by means beyond their control, then we probably wouldn't have hated the Heat so much. If, let's say, I don't know, New York did some crazy moves and traded for all 3 of these players and got together a team, yeah, sure, people would hate them for winning a lot and you'd get tired of seeing them always in the finals. That's granted, but the level of hate would not come anywhere near what it was when the Heat first formed. Now, in 2012, something amazing happened for Heat fans. That was when LeBron won his first championship. Well, first of all, they say he didn't really earn this ring. And second, they try to use the excuse that this was a lockout shortened season. There's something also that I and many other people who dislike LeBron were forgetting at the time. That Tim Duncan won his first ring in a lockout shortened season. When we talk about greatest power forwards of all time, Tim Duncan is usually at the top. When we count his championships, nobody ever puts an asterisk next to the first one. No one ever does that. So why do we use that excuse for LeBron James? To say that, oh, LeBron's first ring doesn't count because it was a lockout shortened season, doesn't really make that much sense to me. Again, this is going to go into more points I'm going to make later. This is sort of beyond his control. It's not like he told the NBA, hey, I'd like to play a lot less. I mean, it's not like he ever sits out any games or anything like that. Now, I want to talk about the 2013 NBA Finals. In 2013, he played, what a huge coincidence, the San Antonio Spurs. Everything comes full circle. Thank you. Thank you. Now, in 2013, this is a series that a lot of haters say that he should have lost and that he was saved by Ray Allen's amazing shot. And that is partly true because, man, if it wasn't for that shot, the Heat really would have lost that series. I mean, they were down, there was seconds left, and if that shot doesn't go in, the Spurs are hoisting up that trophy. But another thing, and other things play into that. We also tend to overlook the fact that this shot didn't win the game. This shot sent it into overtime, meaning that the Spurs had an overtime period to close out the series. And also, what people often tend to overlook is that this was in game 6. So if the Spurs were really the superior team, they would have been able to close the Heat out in 7. And yes, the Spurs shoulda, coulda, woulda won game 6. But let's not kid ourselves and act like they didn't have opportunities in both overtime of game 6 and game 7, which I think also went to overtime, to close out the Heat. And by this point, I know some of you guys are saying, but Mr. Doggy, didn't you say at the beginning of this video that you'd be saying stuff about LeBron? Yes, I said I'd be talking about excuses both for and against LeBron, and I know I've spent most of this video defending LeBron, so now we're about to get into some losses and people who try to dissuade us from thinking that those losses mean as much as they should. Again, 2014 NBA Finals, he plays once again the San Antonio Spurs, to no one's surprise. This is the thing that LeBron fans really try to use to defend his legacy, that, oh, LeBron played the Hall of Fame San Antonio Spurs by himself. Let's put everything into a bit more perspective. Now, yes, that San Antonio Spurs team was great. And yes, 10-year-old me thought that was some of the best basketball I had seen in my entire life. But let's not act like the Heat were like huge underdogs in this series. The Heat were not that lowly guy just coming out of the woodworks that people felt sorry for. These are the two-time defending champions, defending their crown once again. That also brings me to my next point. People try to say that this loss shouldn't really count as much because LeBron didn't really have the help from the rest of his teammates that other superstars have had. And yes, Dwayne Wade was declining, his knees were giving out on him, and Chris Bosh pretty much vanished during these finals. But that's the game of basketball. I've never heard that just because your teammates don't play well that all of a sudden a loss doesn't count. If that's the case, then the Bobcats should win the championship every year. Yes, it's unfortunate that LeBron's teammates went through what they went through during that time. Again, if we're going to give him credit for things that are beyond his control, then we need to also accept the things that are beyond his control. Let's look at LeBron's direct rival, the Mamba. In 2008, when Kobe went to the finals against a stacked Boston Celtics team that everyone knew was stacked, same type of scenario where you have 3 future Hall of Famers, possibly even 3.5, and possibly even 5. When he went against that stacked team and his starting center got injured and his second option played like a shadow of his former self, no one looks at that and goes, man, yeah, no, we shouldn't really count that finals loss against Kobe. At no other time in history when somebody's injured or somebody isn't playing well, we discount a loss. The only time I hear that is for LeBron James. And for someone who's supposed to be the greatest player of all time, the next man up, why do we make these excuses for him?